Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me all good. How is everyone doing? Alrighty. So, hi, Eren, and welcome, Harun. We have Harun on YouTube, and we have Ohio Fishy on YouTube as well. Thank you for inviting everyone. Let's set up some goodie bags. I'll set it to what 10 minutes. Yeah, and we're gonna share. Yep. So if you share this live stream, you can get some coins on TikTok. Anyways, so if I remember correctly, we were going to read the chapter 2 tonight, right? Alrighty, chapter 2. So, lesson 2, why teach financial literacy? And just as a reminder, ooh, we have even additional questions here. Yeah. As a reminder, chapter 1 was about how rich don't work for money. Maybe it's worth reading just a quick summary. What do you think, guys? Shall we do a quick summary as well? Yeah, maybe. So, chapter 1 was about lesson 1, the rich don't work for money. Thank you for the gifts, Eren. Thank you. Summary. When he was 9 years old, Robert Kiyosaki and his childhood friend weren't invited to a classmate's beach house because they were poor kids in an affluent school. After being told by his poor dad, his father, who was a teacher and made a good living but always struggled to make ends meet, to simply go and make money, he and his friend Mike did just that. They collected empty toothpaste tubes, which at that time were made of lead. They melted them down and used plaster molds to make counterfeit nickels. They were soon set straight by Robert's dad, who told them they should talk to Mike's dad, who never finished 8th grade but ran multiple successful businesses. Mike's dad, the rich dad of the book title, agreed to teach them, but on his terms. He had them work 3 hours every Saturday morning at one of his convenience stores, dusting the food packaging and cleaning. He paid them 10 cents an hour, which Robert usually spent on 10-cent comics books. Fairly quickly, Robert grew disenchanted with the boring work and low pay. When he told his friend he was going to quit, Mike told him that his dad said that would happen and that Robert needed to meet with him. Robert's dad, as a school teacher, used lectures, but Mike's dad was a man of few words and taught in a very different way, which Robert was about to find out. The next Saturday morning, Robert went to meet Mike's dad, but was kept waiting in a dusty, dark living room for an hour. He was fed up and emotional by the time he got to complain to Mike's dad, accusing him of being greedy and not showing him respect. When he said Mike's dad hadn't taught him anything despite their agreement, the business owner calmly disagreed. His rich dad explained that life doesn't teach you with words, but by pushing you around. Some people let life push them around, others get angry and push back against their boss or their loved ones. But some people learn a lesson from it, and in fact, welcome life pushing them around because it means they need to learn something. Those who don't learn that lesson spend their lives blaming everyone else and waiting for a big break, or decide to play it safe and never risk or win big. He told Robert that he and Mike were the first people who had ever asked him to teach them how to make money. He had more than 150 employees, and though they had asked for a job, they had never asked for the knowledge that Robert and Mike wanted. So the rich dad decided to create a course that mirrored life and pushed the boys around a little. Robert asked what lesson he had learned, other than that his rich dad was cheap and exploited his workers. The rich dad challenged him on this, saying that most people blamed others when in fact their attitude was the problem. What would solve the problem? His brain, Mike's dad told him. He wanted Robert to learn how money worked so he could make it work for him. He was also glad that Robert was angry because anger combines with love to create passion, a key component of learning. Money wouldn't solve people's problems, he went on. Many people who have a high paying job still struggle with money problems, like Robert's poor dad, because they didn't know how to make money work for them. He said that the emotions Robert had felt working for those 10 cents an hour, disappointment and feeling like it wasn't enough, was what he'd feel like his whole life if he didn't learn this lesson now. He introduced Robert to the concept of taxes, explaining that the poor and middle class allow the government to tax them, but the rich don't. He asked if Robert still had a passion to learn. When he said yes, his rich dad told him he was going to stop paying him for the work at the store. He told Robert to use his head to figure it out. Robert and Mike worked for 3 more weeks. Mike's dad showed up and took them outside for a talk, asking if they had learned anything yet. They hadn't. The rich dad told them if they didn't learn this lesson, they'd be like most people who work hard for little money their whole lives. He offered them 25 cents an hour, which they resisted. He upped it to $1 an hour, then 2, but Robert stayed silent. A final offer of $5 an hour, a princely sum at the time, solidified for Robert that he wouldn't be bought. The rich dad said it was good they didn't have a price. Excuse me. Most people did because their lives are controlled by fear and greed. Fear of being without makes them work hard and earn a paycheck. But once they have that money, greed gets them thinking about all the things they could buy, which makes them need more money, which makes them spend more. It's what the rich dad called the rat race. He told the boys that the first step was admitting to themselves what they were feeling. Too often, people reacted to their emotions instead of thinking logically. They're afraid to admit money is running their lives, and so money controls them. It's not just the poor who face that fear. The rich often operate from a place of fear. He wanted to teach the boys to not just be rich because money doesn't solve the problem. School is important, he told them, but for most people, it's the end, not the beginning. And the key for the boys was to learn to use their emotions to think, not to think with their emotions. They must learn to choose their thoughts. And let me highlight this, guys. He told them to keep an eye out for ways to make money, saying, the moment you see the opportunity, you'll see them for the rest of your life. So, what we're going to learn throughout reading this book and throughout the courses at the school is we're going to learn to see opportunities. The boys did, and soon they saw an opportunity in creating a library where kids could pay an admission fee and read as many comic books as they could in 2 hours. Unsold comic books that otherwise would have been thrown away from the convenience store. They made a great profit, and the business did well for about 3 months until a fight in the library shut it down. But they had learned the first lesson of making money work for them, even when they weren't physically present. They were ready to learn more, and Mike's dad, excuse me, was ready to teach them. Left hemisphere moment. Despite having a high paying job, people like Robert's poor dad struggled to make ends meet. Right hemisphere moment. Looking at the discarded comic books in a new, creative way led to a business opportunity. Subconscious moment. People let the emotions of fear and greed rule their lives. So that was the summary of lesson one that we finished last week. And that's exactly it. The rich people don't work for money, they make the money work for them. Whereas poor people, they work for money their whole lives. They exchange their time, their skill, their expertise for money, and that's what they keep doing throughout their whole lives. And the thing is, money is never enough. If you just keep exchanging your time and skill for money, it is never going to be enough. In the meantime, we have 30 seconds left on our first goodie bag. Thank you guys for all the gifts. Thank you, Eren. Thanks, Miko. And welcome, Abdurrahman and Yahya. Nice. Let's check the... Ooh, add value. Yes, someone is even putting uh, chat messages in Russian. That is so cool. Alrighty, and our first goodie bag is opened, and we have Eren and Daniel collecting the gifts this time. Alright, no, Yahya, you're not late. We have just finished reading the summary for chapter 1, which we did finish last week. And now we're gonna start reading chapter 2, I think. And we're gonna read for about 20 more minutes, I think, to chapter 2, yeah? Oh, Harun, the goodie bags is for those who are watching on TikTok. So, how much is this book? Good question, man. I had it already on my Amazon Kindle, and this is the Kindle application that I'm using. I mean, books are usually about. Actually, this book you can get on Kindle Unlimited, and you can get, I think, Kindle Unlimited trial for a month. Anyways, I'm gonna set up another goodie bag. This time we're gonna set it for, yeah, actually, yeah, let's do it another 10 minutes. Mm, share these with your friends and get some coins. Alrighty, so we'll make another pause and discussion if you have any questions in the 10 minutes, and I'm just gonna read for 10 minutes. Chapter 2, Lesson 2, Why Teach Financial Literacy? Actually, one thing I forgot to mention. See how in Chapter 1, the rich dad who had 150 employees, he mentioned that his employees never actually come and ask him for the knowledge of how to make money, of how to become successful. All they ever want is just salary and pay. And that's the first question they ask. And if you follow me on TikTok, I actually shared a video just today that if you come to an interview and the first question you ask is how much you're going to get paid, that would be the end of the interview from my side. Because how much you're getting from a job is the question that the poor people ask. What rich and successful people would ask is, what is this job going to give you in terms of opportunities? Who are you going to become by accepting this job? What are the growth opportunities? What are some development opportunities? Are you going to learn something? Are you going to get some connections, maybe, get some experience? That is more important in any kind of job that you do. So many of you ask whether you should get a job. Of course, in the beginning, we should learn. So you will get job and maybe multiple jobs at that. But the experience that you get from the job, in my view, is more important than the money that you're going to be getting. So you got to think in terms of, what is this job teaching me, or what is working for this person or that company gonna help me achieve in the long run. So money is just to pay the bills. Money is just a temporary goal. But what's your long-term goal with any kind of job that you're doing? And that I think is more important because if the work that you're doing is for someone else, what you're learning in the process, what you become, who you're becoming in the process, is actually more important in the long run. So let's see, why teach financial literacy? And yes, I'm so glad that most of you guys, even when I come to your relief classes, even when I started teaching STEM, most of you guys are asking the right questions. You're asking how to be successful, how to make more money. So these are the questions that you need to be asking instead of how to, how to learn a job. You should be asking how to get ahead in life. And that's a good question. So let's see. Why teach financial literacy? That's literally like everyone who comes to me for advice. I tell them you got to first understand what money is and how it works, how finance work, how tax system works, how economy works. These are the things that you need to understand. And let's see. That's literally hi Zaid. That's literally the second lesson that the Rich Dad is teaching Robert and his friend Mike. Alrighty, let's go. Chapter 2, Lesson 2, Why Teach Financial Literacy. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And I think you'll find a number of videos on my TikTok account is about what you're actually doing with the money. It doesn't matter if you're making $1 million or if you're making $100. The lessons that you learn when you're still making $100 are going to be the same lessons and same principles that you're going to apply when you have $1 million. And if you don't learn it when you're making 100, getting $1 million is not going to help you. So let's see, what are the lessons here. In 1990, Mike took over his father's empire and is, in fact, doing a better job than his dad did. We see each other once or twice a year on the golf course. He and his wife are wealthier than you could imagine. Rich Dad's empire is in great hands, and Mike is now grooming his son to take his place, as his dad had groomed us. In 1994, I retired. I was 47 and my wife Kim was 37. Retirement does not mean not working. For us, it means that barring unforeseen cataclysmic changes, we can work or not work and our wealth grows automatically, staying ahead of inflation. Our assets are large enough to grow by themselves. It's like planting a tree. You water it for years, and then one day it doesn't need you anymore. Its roots are implanted deep enough. Then the tree provides shade for your enjoyment. Excuse me. Yeah, all of those questions we usually answer on Saturday. So keep them in mind. And actually, if moderators can keep record of these questions, we're gonna collect all the questions throughout the week and then we answer them on Saturday. So, like a tree, your investment, your assets will require some looking after in the beginning, but then a moment will come when they will provide protection and enjoyment for yourself. Mike chose to run the empire, and I chose to retire. Whenever I speak to groups of people, they often ask what I would recommend that they do. How do I get started? Is there a book you would recommend? What should I do to prepare my children? What is your secret to success? How do I make millions? There you go. Yeah. All the questions that you were asking. Whenever I hear one of these questions, I'm reminded of the following story. The richest businessman. In 1923, a group of our greatest leaders and richest businessmen held a meeting at the Edgewater Beach Hotel in Chicago. Among them were Charles Schwab, head of the largest independent steel company, Samuel Insull, president of the world's largest utility, Howard Hobson, head of the largest gas company, Ivor Kruger, president of the International Match Corporation, one of the world's largest companies at that time, Leon Frazier, president of the Bank of International Settlements. Richard Whitney, president of the New York Stock Exchange, Arthur Cotton, and Jesse Livermore, two of the biggest stock speculators, and Albert Fall, a member of President Harding's cabinet. 25 years later, 9 of these titans ended their lives as follows. Schwab died penniless after living for 5 years on borrowed money. Insull died broke in a foreign land, and Kruger and Cotton also died broke. Hobson went insane. Whitney and Albert Fall were released from prison, and Fraser and Livermore committed suicide. Wow. I doubt if anyone can say what really happened to these men. If you look at the date, 1923, it was just before the 1929 market crash and the Great Depression, which I suspect had a great impact on these men and their lives. The point is this: today we live in times of greater and faster change than these men did. I suspect there will be many booms and busts in the coming years that will parallel the ups and downs these men faced. I am concerned that too many people are too focused on money and not on their greatest wealth, their education. Please highlight this, write this down. I am concerned that too many people are too focused on money and not on their greatest wealth, which is their education. There you go, Yahya. This is the answer to your question. And that is what I've been telling you guys from literally day one that you probably met me. The best investment is your education and your knowledge. If people are prepared to be flexible, keep an open mind, and learn, they will grow richer and richer despite tough changes. If they think money will solve problems, they will have a rough ride. Intelligence solves problems and produces money. Money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. Hey, Rini. Guys, I hope you understand this. And please, if you can, write it down. Your education, your financial literacy is more important than the amount of money that you're going to make. If you are prepared to be flexible, keep an open mind, and learn, you will grow richer and richer despite tough changes. If you think that money will solve your problems, you will have a very rough ride. Intelligence solves problems and produces money? Yes. But money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. There you go. I hope this answers most of your questions. If not, feel free to ask again. Oh, Daniel, you got all the coins from the bag. Nice. Um, I'm just checking the chats if I forgot or missed anything. Alrighty. What time are you live on next Saturday? It's usually 8:30 p.m. Sometimes later, so sometime between 8:30 and 9 p.m. I think. Or maybe we can do it earlier this time. Alrighty, I'm setting up another goodie bag for another 10 minutes. And this time there's even no requirement, right? And oh my god, how many gifts we got. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Eren. Thank you, Daniel, for all the gifts. All right. So we have another 10 minutes of reading. Most people fail to realize that in life, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. We have all heard stories of lottery winners who are poor, then suddenly rich, and then poor again. They win millions, yet are soon back where they started. Or stories of professional athletes who, at the age of 24, are earning millions, but are sleeping under a bridge 10 years later. I remember a story of a young basketball player who a year ago had millions. Today, at just 29, he claims his friend's attorney and accountant took his money and he was forced to work at a car wash for minimum wage. He was fired from the car wash because he refused to take off his championship ring as he was wiping off the cars. His story made national news and he is appealing his termination, claiming hardship and discrimination. He claims that the ring is all he has left and if it was stripped away, he will crumble. I know so many people who became instant millionaires, and while I'm glad some people have become richer and richer, I caution them that in the long run, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep, and for how many generations you keep it. That's another thing. Because usually, if a smart person makes a lot of money and manages to keep the money, then it's usually his kids or the kids of his kids who will waste the money away and have nothing left. So when people ask, where do I get started? Or tell me how to get rich quick, they often are greatly disappointed with my answer. I simply say to them what my rich dad said to me when I was a little kid. If you want to be rich, you need to be financially literate. There you go. That's another thing that you need to highlight and remember. If you want to be rich, you need to be financially literate. That idea was drummed into my head every time we were together. As I said, my educated dad stressed the importance of reading books, while my rich dad stressed the need to master financial literacy. If you are going to build the Empire State Building, the first thing you need to do is dig a deep hole and pour a strong foundation. If you are going to build a home in the suburbs, all you need to do is pour a 6-inch slab of concrete. Most people, in their drive to get rich, are trying to build an Empire State Building on a 6-inch slab. And I hope you guys understand the reference here. The question from the chat: how do I become financially literate? By joining our bedtime reading sessions, at least joining us on Saturdays. And if you want to learn even more, if you want to learn everything there is about entrepreneurship, finance, investment, um, I'm launching this first cohort on next year, February. So that's what Loomwise is all about. And that's where you can send me an expression of interest. And then we will reach out to you about signing up for this learning and classes. Our school system, created in the agrarian age, still believes in homes with no foundation. Dirt floors are still the rage, so kids graduate from school with virtually no financial foundation. One day, sleepless and deep in debt in suburbia, living the American dream, they decide that the answer to their financial problem is to find a way to get rich quick. Construction on the skyscraper begins. It goes up quickly, and soon, instead of the Empire State Building, we have the Leaning Tower of suburbia. The sleepless nights return. And this is a warning to guys who just think that, yes, we know how to make business. This is how we're going to do it. This is, all the stories about drop shipping, day trading, forex exchange, all these courses that are promising you to teach you how to get rich quickly. In my opinion, most of those courses, they might work, you might get the money, but it's not about, again, it's not about how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. It's how you set up those healthy habits and systems of letting money work for you and creating generational wealth. Not just for yourself, not just for your family, for your kids, for your grandkids. That's what we are trying to accomplish here. And if you remember our first lesson from Saturday, it's the mindset that we need, not the knowledge, not the get rich quick schemes. You need to have this mindset. You need to have this group of people around you that know how to handle money, how to make money work for them. Alrighty. As for Mike and me, in our adult years, both of our choices were possible because we were taught to pour a strong financial foundation when we were just kids. Accounting is possibly the most confusing, boring subject in the world, but if you want to be rich long term, it could be the most important subject. There we go. Um, I personally do my own taxes every single year. Yes, I have an accountant as well. Yes, I pay them money too, but I do my taxes myself just to be sure and to fully understand what's happening and what's going where. That's why accounting is confusing, it's boring, but that's something that you need to be aware of. You need to learn how to read the balance statements, income statements. You need to know what cash flow is, what assets are, liabilities, and how taxation works. Alrighty, let's keep going. For Reach That, the question was how to take a boring and confusing subject and teach it to kids. The answer he found was to make it simple by teaching it in pictures. My Reach Dad poured a strong financial foundation for Mike and me. Since we were just kids, he created a simple way to teach us. And that's exactly what I want to do for you guys as well. Right now, during the week, we're playing Clash Royale, right? Because that's something that you like. And starting next year, especially for year 7 and 8, I'm actually planning to launch a financial literacy club where we are going to play financial games. So we're going to learn accounting, we're going to learn finance investment by playing financial games. And most likely we will do some financial games during the break. So when the school ends, December onwards, we might do a few games when I set up my garage space. Alrighty. And I have all kinds of financial games, from board games to computer games. So keep yourselves subscribed to my channels. Rich people acquire assets. The poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. And that's the first thing that we need to learn. What distinguishes an asset and a liability? Alrighty, let's see. How did Rich Dad teach them? For years, he only drew pictures and used few words. Mike and I understood the simple drawings, the jargon, the movement of money, and then in later years, Rich Dad began adding numbers. Today, Mike has gone on to master much more complex and sophisticated accounting analysis because he had to in order to run his empire. I am not as sophisticated because my empire is smaller, yet we come from the same simple foundation. Over the following pages, I offer to you the same simple line drawings Mike's dad created for us. Though basic, those drawings helped guide two little boys in building great sums of wealth on a solid and deep foundation. Alrighty. Now, I think we don't have actually many viewers left here. So maybe we should leave this for tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to start learning about assets and liabilities. And then what's the rule two? Oh, there we go. Income statement, balance sheet. There we go. I remember the Saturday before, someone was asking to teach them what cash flow is. So this is where we are going to learn what is cash flow, what is assets, liabilities, income, expenses. That is all. See, this is the cash flow pattern of a liability. So you are going to learn all of these things starting tomorrow, inshallah. So it's been 38 minutes, and I think we can call it a night because it's 9:34 and my throat is tired anyway. And hopefully I will be able to come to school tomorrow, guys. Alrighty. Thanks, everyone. Have a good and restful night. Thank you guys for all the gifts. Daniel, Eren, and get some good rest. See you all tomorrow, inshallah. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.